Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's sharing. And I would like to talk today about something that I feel very honoured and passionate about working with, and that is the combination of Australian bushflower essences and astrology. Now, for me, these are an incredibly beautiful marriage, a wonderful union, and one for both support each other. So those of you that know me, I am an evolutionary astrologer. I believe that we choose the chart based on the sacred contract that we come into this lifetime to fulfill our potential. And that's a journey. It's a lifetime journey. And as a very earthy person myself, and with someone that has some earthy qualities like Hygeia very strong in my chart, I love to have something to go to which can support people with the beautiful simplicity and strength and potency that Australian bushflower essences provide. So, Australian bushflower essences, what are they? Because I am aware there may be people here that have never used them, don't know a lot about them. And I'm probably going to go back to say Bach flowers. These were the original flower essences that sort of came out into the world. And Edward Bach was the pioneer of this. Now, Edward Bach is sadly passed many years ago. Actually, at his Chiron return, he passed away. But he was a pioneer, and so is Ian White. Ian White is the pioneer. He is an amazing man, dedicated his life to bringing to all of us, me as a practitioner, as many are, the ability to work with these flowers. Now, I can work with the flowers. I don't need an astrology chart to do that by listening and tuning in to the client, or for my own purposes, or even with my family, working with the emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical bodies is a key to unlocking and releasing the blockages that are held in the soul's DNA. So they are working on these bodies. I could give a great long talk here on how do they work, but let's just keep it simple for this particular sharing. The bushflower essences are Mother Nature in her finest form. And our astrology charts are our soul contract. So when we look at the soul's intention in this lifetime and we back it up with working with vibrational, in brackets, energy, medicine, we're really in some ways working like with like. Now, it's not quite like that with Australian bushflower essences as it is with homeopathy. But certainly we are working on our emotional, mental and spiritual bodies and, of course, the physical body. They all fit together. And if we don't keep all of them in check and all of them in balance and all of them nice and healthy, this is when things start to become out of order. This is where dis-ease begins. So there are many bushflower essences, and obviously in this particular sharing, I'm not going to have an opportunity to go through all 70 of them, and that's not counting the blends that can be made. But I would like to share just a little bit as how do we combine the bushflower essences and the astrology. And, I think back to many years ago, I had the wonderful opportunity of having many teachers, which is very important. And from an Australian bushflower essence perspective, apart from learning with Ian White and learning in a college that actually no longer exists, I had a wonderful opportunity to work for a year with an astrologer that had done a load of work on working with these bushflowers and correlating them to the astrological network. And I then took that into my own work and have continued to explore how these flower essences can support us in the best possible way. They are one of a number of things that can really help us to release the blockages that are held in the DNA of our soul. So we know they are astrological, archetypal. There's a resonance between the archetypes and the vibration of the essences. So let me give you an example, because today is really just an introduction into other talks I'm going to be doing that are more specific, looking at the flowers and showing some examples of how we can work with the chart. So today I just want to warm everybody up. So let's imagine we're working with someone that has a strong Cancerian imprint. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the sun or the moon, but let's just say the voice and archetypal expression of Cancer is alive and well. And that means that we're dealing with water, reflection, the need for closeness, sensitivity, intuition. Just look at the watery side of a Cancerian signature. And of course, Cancer energy, end point, evolutionary goal is to feel. And that means we have to break through the shell, which means we need to be vulnerable. Vulnerability allows us to feel on a level that the Cancerian essence comes in here to feel on. And so that's a whole nother story. But if we think about the fact that Cancer energy needs, that we've got all sorts of things going on in our chart, other aspects of planets in different houses. I'm just very broad brush right now, working with Cancer. Now, consciousness obviously also comes into this. How conscious is this Cancerian example that I'm using? And of course, we don't know the rest of the chart. But let's imagine this Cancerian has a challenging relationship with their mother or with the feminine, and they want to heal that. Bottle brush is, for me, a Cancerian essence. It vibrates on a similar level. And for those of you that know what bottle brush looks like, it looks a little bit like the brush that we clean a baby's bottle out with when we're after breastfeeding, and we maybe go on to bottles, and there's that milk that's really hard to get out. It's sort of right in the bottom of it. And the baby's bottle brush is where we get out that clean everything up. And the flower essence bottle brush, which I believe to resonate to the Cancerian vibe, is all about letting go of old emotional hurt. It is about mother-child bonding. It is about looking at our emotions and how we express our feelings and allowing that to be a very important piece that we nurture and nourish. So let's imagine this Cancerian person wants to have the nourishment because they haven't had it previously. And so bottle brush is going to help heal. It's going to bring in the ability to look a little, to be with oneself and allow some letting go process, whatever that might be. Now, I also want to present this in this is a very broad example. We don't have a chart. I'm just being general, I suppose, at the moment. But let's imagine we have a Capricorn essence, just the signature. I'm not talking about anything particular. And Capricorn energy can be very resilient. And, again, it's the opposite sign to Cancer. And this energy, may be looking to find ways of softening as far as being gentle with themselves, not always being a hard taskmaster. Or perhaps they just need a little TLC. And the bottle brush energy is going to help balance out some of the perhaps what is out of balance with the Capricornian expectations, for example. Now, like I said, when we have a chart and I can guide you looking at the energies more closely, perhaps it will be a little clearer. But there are 70 flower essences, as I said. They all work on the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, which all flow into the physical. And each essence correlates to sometimes one, but sometimes a number of different archetypes. And when we look at that in the chart and we maybe see transits and we listen to our clients or we look at our own lives and we want to bring in balance, it's about clearing the soul's DNA, releasing the pains, the trauma, the patterns that are embedded that we're here to work on. We need to release those and heal from the release and the surrender and grow and fulfill our potential. That's the goal for all of us, I think. So when we have the bushflower essences that are working on the meridians and really getting in, I mean, they're incredibly powerful. And if you haven't tried them, I'd really suggest finding a good practitioner or someone that, like myself, I get to look at the astrology chart as well as the flower essences and combine it in an alchemy that can really serve. And they are fantastic. I take them myself often, and when I do, if I've had a break of a month or something from taking them and then I take them again, I'm suddenly like, my God, I forget how incredible these flower essences are. So we can go through all the archetypes. They also relate to the planets, to the progressions, to the transits, things that we want to release, but also things we want to embrace. And also the chakras. When we're working with the base chakra, for example, the moon has a powerful transit happening and we really want to ground. We want to do work on our family system. Mars also is part of the base chakra, but, maybe we're going to combine flowers to bring in some stillness, like Black-Eyed Susan, for example, which is actually an Aries flower. Or maybe we're going to bring in Boab, which is also a Cancer flower, but it's a flower that connects us to the voices of our ancestors and supports us in dissolving the old family patterns. So you can start to hear 70 flowers. We can use single doses, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. How do we prepare this? Single doses, or we can combine flower essences, and not too many. I sometimes think, simple can be the most profound, but certainly there are many, many combinations when you start to think, how many times can I combine different flowers that are going to support someone? Having the flowers made up is really important, that you have someone that is a practitioner that knows about giving you the best mix and the right energy at the right time. You can have a mix that has, some mixes are just water tinctures. So the practitioner takes the stock tincture that comes from a mother tincture. I'm going to do a video on how to make a tincture another time, but it's made purely with water. So the essence, the stock essence and water, and those essences need to be started and finished within the period that it takes, which is about 3 weeks. But you can also make one that is a combination of brandy and water, and the essences, and those ones are going to last a little bit longer if you want to take them, intermittently over a few months. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to talk about that in another YouTube reel later on in this series. So I hope that the little bit that I've shared with you today, just to recap, 70 essences working on the emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical bodies, releasing the blockages, presenting us with opportunities to really get in touch with the deeper pieces that we're ready to confront in this lifetime based on our contract. And we can have single doses, we can have combination doses, and the flowers speak for themselves. I remember many years ago, this lady that I worked with said to me, Lisa, the flowers are going to make you look good. She was a beautiful woman, and she said they are so incredible. Just go try them, and the evidence is in what they provide us. So I will be back with more on astrological, archetypal, chart synthesis, Australian bush flowers, and how we can bring them all together. Anyone that is interested or has questions, please pop them in the comments. Please give me a like. I'm growing this channel and I'm very keen to get as much out to you as possible. So until soon, have a wonderful day and bye for now.